All righty then. So now we're in the SEC tournament, and it's looking a little something. I mean, we're going to be on a quarterfinal Friday, and there's our guy, the Godfather of the SEC, giving out a hello. How are you doing today, Godfather? Good to see you, man. Always happy to see our buddy Godfather of the SEC, one of our
Always
OG.
appreciate you for stopping by, Godfather of the SEC. Always bringing life to the chat. Appreciate it.
There we go, giving out the peace finger and the number one finger. Love it. So we got the winner of Oklahoma, Georgia. They're going to go against Kentucky, but man, Oklahoma's been sloppy. Georgia's sloppy. It's who's sloppier, honestly,
Well,
between
the
those.
thing is, I mean, and I've been debating with people on X about this for the last week, and I don't normally do this because of the fact that I do like seeing the mid majors get in the tournament, that have the really good win percentages or whatever, like Virginia Commonwealth. Even though I think they have a case, still, I will be mad for me saying that they shouldn't get in probably, but they'll have a shot because they have, a great win percentage. But this season, the SEC has been stacked, just absolutely stacked. Somebody has to lose. And I agree, Jackson, that Georgia and Oklahoma have been sloppy per se. But when you look at still what they've been doing, despite the fact that like Oklahoma's 6-12 in conference play, who they've beaten, they've knocked off really, really good teams, right? And like Georgia beat Florida. You know what I'm saying? Like these teams on the bubble, Arkansas, who knocked off Kentucky, which I think we know why they went full force in for Cal's revenge game. But these teams are really good. Like, they're really good. I think the worst of the bubble teams is Texas because I feel like they're too one-dimensional. Like, Trey Johnson is carrying them, and they don't have a lot else. Tremont Mark's not bad, but, like, the rest of the teams, they're not a quality team. It's one really great player. But Oklahoma, Georgia, Arkansas, Vanderbilt as well is kind of, hanging still. Like, they're probably going to be a lock, but they've been on the bubble a lot. These teams are really good, but somebody has to lose. The SEC is so stacked. There are no bad teams. So while you could say Georgia and Oklahoma are sloppy, these teams are still quality. They're better than essentially the entire ACC outside of Duke, Clemson, and Louisville. And you could even maybe debate Georgia versus Louisville-ish, like in that range. These are great. These are really solid teams. And they're only on the bubble because, again, the SEC is so stacked that they lost all these games. But the SEC tournament is going to be a dogfight. It's going to be an absolute dogfight. And whoever wins this thing, wow. It just I could see 7 teams out of the SEC winning this tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because like you mentioned just now about how like the 2025 edition of the SEC is stacked. It feels kind of like the 2011 season with the
This is
Big
better.
East.
This is better.
Yeah.
This is better. Like way better than that league. And I'm sure Big East fans, or if they're any here, are mad because that was a great conference. I don't know what's going to happen in the tournament. I don't know, whether or not like some of these teams fizzle out early in the tournament. We'll see. But at least regular season wise, this is like the best conference I've ever seen from top to bottom. The Big 12's had a couple really good years, but this is a stacked league. And I do agree with Will's point here. It will be interesting to see if some teams don't really try too hard because they don't want any injuries. That's an interesting point. But if every team, especially those bubble teams, if they're fighting like Georgia and Oklahoma to secure a bid, I mean, they're going to be hunting. So it's going to be crazy.
Well, and I kind of feel like if we're seeing like Auburn, Florida in the SEC title on Sunday, they're both 1 seeds. If Alabama and Auburn are both in the SEC title, I honestly feel like Alabama, Auburn, Florida, because I mean it's still a dogfight over who's going to be the 1 seed. Auburn's number 3, Florida's number 4, Alabama's number 5.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically if you get to the title game, you're a 1 seed. No ifs, ands, or buts. It's just about Duke, if they're lose, which I don't think they're going to lose in the ACC.
Even if
tournament.
Duke loses early, I think they'll still give them a 1 seed though,
Yeah.
because of the fact that their record's too good, and it's Duke. Duke needed to lose like another game or two in the ACC regular season for that to happen. I mean, if they lose like in their first game of the ACC tournament, maybe, but I think they'll give Duke a 1 seed regardless. They're very likely going to be a 1 seed because I mean they're the number 1 ranked team right now in the AP poll, and I know that doesn't matter when it comes to bracketology, but I just don't see them losing one game right now and then them dropping all the way to the 2 line. I don't see it.
No.
Well, I'll tell you another thing. According to the entirety of the season, the SEC tournament should come down to the top 4 seeds: Tennessee, Florida, Alabama, Auburn. Maybe maybe one team will get hot, pull the big upset, and in the quarterfinals, maybe in the semifinals. But right now, across the board, you're looking at an SEC tournament pretty much. If I were betting, we'll look at the Las Vegas odds next week and that kind of stuff. But if I were betting right now, I would say that all 4 teams, top 4 teams, are going to make it to the semifinals. Then from there we go, and we'll see what happens. I mean, it's who shows up. So I'll predict that, to me, because all 4 teams probably going to make it to the semifinal round. I think Alabama's the one sitting on the outside, really. Alabama, Tennessee. I think if Florida gets to the semifinals, I think they'd probably be a top 4. Auburn, whatever, be a top 4, and then we'll see who after that. If Alabama goes to the championship game, I don't think Alabama will be a 1 seed unless they make it to the championship game. They've got to beat Florida, all right, because Florida's already beaten them. So if Alabama gets to the championship game, they'll be a 1 seed, and then Florida might be the one sitting on the outside. But I do think the bracket is the way it should be, and I think that the top 4 teams, including Tennessee, should be fine, and then we'll see what happens in the semifinal round, and whoever gets in the championship game are going to be 1 seeds.
Yeah, I agree 100% on that. I think
if we can pull a 3rd team in there, then that'll be, the 3rd team would be Alabama, Florida.
I think it would, like, for the SEC to get 3 number 1 seeds, it would be probably in the conference's best interest for Auburn to lose, because they're going to be a 1 seed anyway. So you want that title game to be between, those teams trying to become 1 seeds. So if it's like Bama, Tennessee, something of that nature, then like you said, both of them will be 1s. Bama, Florida, whatever, like both of those will be 1s. If Auburn's making the title game, they're already a 1 seed anyway. So like Auburn can't make the title game for the SEC to get 3, in my opinion. Maybe it still would happen, but if Auburn doesn't make the title game, that
obviously
will increase the odds.
It too depends on other teams. Duke, and we'll see how much love affair, whatever Duke lays an egg and they just pack it up for the tournament and lay an egg, which probably not going to happen. But if Duke lays an egg, then
you got Houston too. They're the other outlier. Right now Houston's on the 1 line. If they lost early, maybe you could see that. So yeah, because I mean it would be insane if somehow Duke and Houston both lost in the first round. You can maybe get 4 SEC all 4. I don't think it's gonna happen, but that would be crazy.
I think there's too much love affair with Duke.
Yes, Duke. I think they're gonna be it no matter what. But Houston's probably the one maybe that can be displaced, but it's still gonna be hard because they got a great record too.
Well, and I don't think this would happen, but if we were losing in the quarterfinals to Kentucky or Georgia or Oklahoma, I doubt we'd be losing to Oklahoma or Georgia. But if there was that possibility, I feel like we would be a 3 seed at the worst, or like the last bit of the 2 seeds.
We'll be a 2. I don't think we're gonna fall to a 3. We got the issue is, like, I know it's the losses. We'd have 8 losses then, but we have so many great wins. The resume is so strong.
And the schedule, guys. The schedule. I mean, you gotta look at the schedule. It's been murder's row for Alabama. Crap. Come on.
I mean, you
Surely
could be
people
right,
are looking at
Jackson, but I
that.
would see it too, honestly, still. But
Yeah.
because I mean, you're
But-
talking like St. John's right now is on the 2 line. St. John's is on the 2 line,
Oh,
and
yeah.
they don't have a lot of great wins. I mean,
No.
they're like the Big East was a lot weaker this year. You also have Michigan State on the 2 line, and then on the 3 seed you got Texas Tech, Kentucky, Iowa State, Texas A&M. None of those teams can really pass Alabama. I mean, the only way, I mean, if like A&M and Kentucky went all the way to the end. If A&M and Kentucky, that's why I'm saying like maybe 7, because Kentucky and A&M are both really good too. Maybe they make a run all the way to the final. If they do, then maybe Bama could fall to a 3. But I still don't see it. I think Bama, regardless, is going to be a 2, even if they lose.
Well, nobody really thought that Connecticut basketball would make a run in the 2011 Big East tournament at that time because they had that sloppy end to the regular season, but then they're winning 5 games in 5 days. I feel like the team that would be most likely to pull off a Cinderella run for the SEC tournament would be like Vanderbilt, maybe, or like Texas A&M.
Well, it is in Nashville.
A&M is very well possible because they're really good. A&M and Kentucky. If Kentucky was healthy, oh boy, they'd have been a problem. They're really good with the injuries, but if they were healthy, I mean, they haven't even had a point guard for a month and a half, and they're still.
So I'm going to throw one team out. Just think about it for a second. Missouri.
Missouri's been sliding, but when they were playing well earlier in the year, including when they beat Alabama, they were really good. But for some reason, they've been iffy the last couple weeks.
I know, but could they? Yeah, but you look. Could they get hot?
Yeah.
Ole Miss good too. They're good.
Anybody?
Ole Miss is good. I mean, they're all good.
Straws.
They're all good. I've never seen a conference this deep.
I'm overthinking
Mississippi
it.
State.
I mean, Chris Beard's doing a good job over there at Ole Miss. It's
Chris
like,
Beard to IU. Sorry, that's my plug, Jack.
Oh man, I was telling you. Oh man, Joe, and I was telling you the other day when we were talking about Jeffrey. Though I told you a little bit about Jeffrey's backstory about why Indiana is his feel bad team. It's like, oh man, it had a lot to do with the Kelvin Sampson stuff.
Yes, it's not did not make me very thrilled to read about that. No.
Like the story, they kind of made it seem like that he was taking a bunch of candy from babies.
Yeah, he's like, oh, he's a villain. He's a terrible person. Now he's at Houston. He's a great coach. He's an icon of college basketball. Okay, sure, whatever. That's fine. But
okay. Oh man, backstories are so much fun to go over. They are so much.
That's why cartoons have so many of them.
Agreed.